Hello and welcome back to Channel England Football. My name's Gary and England have done it. We are through to Qatar 2022 World Cup. So yes, England have done it. We are through. 5-0 and a 10-0. A 10-0 and a 5-0 victory against San Marino and Albania. As you will see from my previous video, I believe one of those games was probably going to be a little bit more difficult than what it turned out to be. But essentially, it's going to be hard to get excited, but at the same time, we can't deny that England have made relatively easy work of this group. 2 simple victories, fantastic score lines, exactly what we want to see. Kane almost breaking the England record over 2 games. And yeah, it's done. It's sealed. It has been a lot simpler. So we'll start with the Albania game. So England went into this one. I was predicting a 3-0, maybe 4-0. Once the floodgates open, I was expecting quite a sketchy game. I thought it was going to be one of those games where England might not be able to break through until 40 minutes or 50 minutes, and then after that the goals will start flowing, but it was completely the opposite to that. As we know, Harry Maguire scoring in the 9th minute. Very controversial celebration. I can't see anything wrong with it. He's taken a lot of stick. It was a good header. But in the 9th minute, Harry Maguire set us on his way, followed by 2 goals from Harry Kane. Initially then a Jordan Henderson's second England goal, which is fantastic to see him get on the score sheet. And then before half-time, Harry Kane wrapped up his hat-trick. And that was pretty much the game, wasn't it? The second half was a bit of a whimper. Nothing really happened at all. I can barely think of any chances. The interesting thing about this game and the San Marino game is that England played a new system. We played 3 at the back with the attacking wing-backs, so TAA and Reece James and these type of players had the opportunity of getting further forward. I think it did work. I mean, the goals speak for itself, but at the same time, I still don't think we played our most attacking football I've ever seen us play. But I think the right time to experiment, a change in system, change in formation. But there's not a lot else to say there really, other than England emphatically beat Albania. Probably, if we'd have carried on it, we should have scored more even. Who's to say that couldn't have been 6 or 7, but 5-0 against Albania was a very, very comfortable victory. And then that led us on to the San Marino game. Now, I know people's criticism for us playing San Marino. What does it benefit them? What does it benefit us? However, in the past we've played them quite a lot in my lifetime. I'm pretty sure we have. That may be wrong, but it feels like we almost draw them in every single European and World Cup qualifier. But to score 10-0 is something unusual no matter who you're playing against. So I think England's last time we scored 10 goals was against the United States in the 1960s, I believe. So it's one of our biggest ever victories. And I know it's against the Minows, the Minows of Minows, San Marino, but 10-0 can never be sniffed at. It's a great result. Harry Kane again getting 4 goals, 1 more goal than what they did against Albania. So that takes his total to 7 across 2 games, which is just ridiculous no matter who you're playing against. Obviously, we all know he's going to break Harry Kane's record literally anytime soon. As soon as the next 3 games come along, I think Harry Kane may well beat it. But the 10-0 was emphatic. It allowed us to see some of the new players that are, coming in. It was great to see Smith Rowe start, get a game. Played okay. TAA, it's good to see him start. He doesn't start that many games for England. Gallagher obviously come later on. So it was a good game for England just to have a go, have an experiment round, but at the same time, look very comfortable and score goals. And I know I'm not going to speak a lot about the games actually. Usually I might break them down in things, but the games are pretty self-explanatory. 5 and 10-0. As daft as it sounds, there's not an awful lot to talk about. England was so comfortable over both games. It never looked in doubt, did it, that we're ever going to qualify comfortably. But I think this brings me on to probably what is the most important thing, and I did tweet about it, and it's the fact that England have qualified from what is essentially a difficult group. This is England. We don't have to think too far back to when England was struggling to qualify for European Championships, for World Cups. So when I mean struggling, going down to the last game, we might be even on points, swapping first and second place right up until the death, nicking draws in the last game to take us through, or victories. And people forget those days pretty quickly. And England now, it was that. We've always been a good team, but we really are now that just level above. And we really are one of the top teams in the world now, qualifying incredibly comfortably. You've only got to look at Portugal and Italy and a whole host of other teams that struggle to qualify for tournaments this time round, but qualification, particularly for World Cups with the only, the group winner going through, is a difficult thing to do. It can never be taken for granted that England should automatically win their World Cup qualifying group. When you look at our current group that we had Hungary, who obviously had a fantastic Euros. You had Poland, who on their day with Lewandowski, they can give anybody a really good game. Poland away and Hungary away. You wouldn't really want to. You won't want those matches, really. The difficult matches to face. Albania obviously had a really good group as well. They did, they've played some good football, picked up some good results. So I think in other years, going back 10 years, going back before Southgate, a group like this would have been a tough group. You look at these teams in Hungary, Poland, they've given teams as big as England, and what you would call European elite teams, a tough run for their money in recent years. So this was never a guarantee that we were going to do it, but we've ended up not only doing it, but we've done it quite comfortably as well, and that cannot be underestimated. I do feel like a lot of England fans just take it for granted, but we can't. Easy qualification for World Cups and European tournaments isn't something that should ever be taken for granted, particularly in Europe. I think it's different in other continents where maybe qualification is, I think a little easier. I think there's a lot more competition in Europe. I think the teams are a lot stronger. So to qualify for any major tournament, like I said, particularly for the World Cup now, the Euros, not so much, with almost, because they've expanded it so much, it's almost impossible not to get there. But certainly for the World Cup, if you're qualifying top of your group from a European set of qualifiers for the World Cup, you've had a very, very good qualifying campaign. And England, they're just going from strength to strength. There's still no decisions for Southgate to look at. Kane has obviously done what Kane's done, but whether he can produce that against big opponents in more competitive games is still to be seen for club or country this season. I'm not saying he's lost it, but he clearly would be different if this was more competitive. But England are well on the way, and we're in Qatar, and I say, bring it on. Do I think we can win it? My early prediction is yes, of course I think we can win it. We've just got to European finals. We had to the semi-final of the last World Cup. And talent's only coming through. We're not like a Belgium where our talent is growing old. So yeah, still with a lot of players so young, still with new players coming through. Of course I think England have a fantastic shot of winning the World Cup. I know it's not as easy as that. I think we will be one of the top 5 favourites in my mind. You can't count us out now, England. You cannot count us out. This is obviously something I'm going to come up to time and time again over the next 12 months as we move forward. A lot of rely on injury, form. The same it is for every international team. It's very early to predict, but obviously I do believe England have a fantastic chance of winning the World Cup for a second time. And that's that for these European qualifiers. It's been a fantastic campaign, like I've said, some good results. Probably should have finished it easier than we did. We ended up 6 points clear in the end because Poland lost their final game, which again shows you the competitiveness of this group. But we probably should have won it. We probably should have won it in Poland, shouldn't we, before they got that last minute winner, and probably comfortably seen out the Hungary game, but we didn't. But we've got through, still incredibly comfortable, scoring a huge amount of goals. I think England have scored their most amount of goals within a single calendar year in a long, long time at least. And the future continues to look bright for England. I know Southgate is, from what I'm hearing, being offered a 2-year contract extension. I am definitely, as much as I sometimes may moan about Southgate and his options and what he chooses and what he does, no manager is perfect. I'm very much a Southgate in. I think he's done a fantastic job. I would be delighted if he signed the contract, but who knows where it's going to go to. So that's it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. Very short and sweet. If England win 15-0 over 2 games aggregate, what can you say? It's just very comfortable against one, obviously, incredibly poor team. One team that we made look probably a lot worse than they actually are because they had to come out and attack us, essentially. But it's been as comfortable as you like for 2 games. Very relaxed, very chilled out. Job done in case of England. Like I said, we cannot take qualifying for World Cups for granted. But while we're on this run of form and we're producing the talent we are, let's enjoy it while it goes on. England are well within a shout of Qatar 2022, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, which I'm hoping to get out next week, and I'm going to be asking actually some quite interesting questions and having a look at really what has led to all of the home nations actually over the past 3 or 4 years probably coming into the best form and set of results they've had certainly in my lifetime. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.